Oops, I'm shaking right at the very beginning. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Day 9 of Stitch Mania. People, wow, I'm surrounded by stitching. What could be better? I would say in various stages, but I think we all know it's all at the very beginning of stages. What fun. What fun we've been having. Day 9, May 9th. It is 10 o'clock in the morning here in Maryland. Another gorgeous sunny day. Everything is so green and pretty. Of course, those with allergies are really having a rough time at this time of year. The cars are just covered with green. Luckily, I don't suffer from allergies, so yeah, it's a good thing. Hope to get out and take a walk later today in this gorgeous weather. Gonna go and get my toes done did. We are back into sandal and flip-flop weather, so I gotta get my toes done. Let's see. All kinds of things going on here. I had a wonderful, wonderful visit with Donna Ray yesterday. I'll talk about that a little bit more. First, stitching. I have a confession to make. I cheated on Spring Jack. As you remember, Spring Jack was my start yesterday, Plum Street Samplers. And I did get them started. You can see I have that little bit. This is the, let's see, little bit right. I think they're just going to cover it up. This picture's so awful. It's just like this little bit right in here. I had hoped to get like this first line done and maybe start going up into some of the flowers. Well, that didn't happen because... so while I was at Stitching Post yesterday with Donna Ray, I found this scrumptious piece. It's really washed out here because of the light on it. This scrumptious piece of 36 count Confederate gray from Weeks Dye Works. It has little blue pieces from that other fabric all over it. It is scrumptious. This is for the Sally Spencer sampler that is currently a stitch along going on Instagram with various people. Donna Ray's one of them. Lori from Mischievous Stitches, Michelle Bendy, Bendy Stitchy, Lynette from Homesteading on the Home Front, and I think there's others that their names are not coming to me. I was going to get fabric. I planned on getting fabric yesterday. And I was going to get it and figured that I would probably wait until June to start this since, you know, I have a few other starts going on in this month. But I got this fabric and I love it so much. I could not wait. So this is the sampler for those who might not have seen it. This is totally a throw-in. The Sally Spencer sampler by Birds of a Feather. I've mentioned before on my Flosstube that I'm not a big sampler person. Samplers just aren't things that really fit into my basic decor here. But this one I love. I love the colors. I love the fact that it's bright colors. I don't love the colors themselves. I love the kind of the great alphabet, this kind of fun border going on. It's just a little more whimsical than your typical sampler. I love that it's, I don't know whether you can see, it's capital letters and then small letters. I think that's so cute and kind of all offset. I just loved so much about this. So I had to start it. So that's what we have here. Poor Spring Jack did not get very much attention because Sally Spencer took over. Now I have totally changed the colors. A lot of them, I mean, they're all gentle arts. One of which is Brethren Blue, which, you know, we basically can't even get anymore. So I went into my stash and the burgundy here is actually supposed to be Buckeye Scarlet. I'm using Claret. Let's see. The breast of the bird is supposed to be Melon Patch. I'm using Highland Leather. Highland Heather. I think this is so pretty. Now, this is interesting. I have two skeins in here, one of which is a 10-yard skein and one is a 5-yard skein. Look how much pinker the 5-yard one is. There's a lot more variegation and it's lighter for the 10 yard. And I'm sure, I mean, both of these are old skeins. I'm using the lighter one because I like that variegation. Let's see, Black Crow. It's calling for Black Crow for these dark pieces. I'm actually using, and that's what you can see here. It's actually Midnight, so it's much bluer than what it's called for. Let's see, in place of Brethren Blue, I'm using this pretty cornflower. I think it's cornflower. Yeah, from Gast. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the variegation on that. Beautiful. Let's see, I already talked about Mullen Patch. In place of Buttermilk, I'm using Pineapple Sherbet, another pretty light yellow. And in place of Tropical Ocean, which I have a ton of, but it's being used in my Harbor Haven piece, I'm using Southern Belle by Victorian Motto, which also has some really pretty variegation in it. So anyways, I started that yesterday afternoon when I got home from the stitching post. And what I thought this was really interesting. So Confederate Gray, this is Prairie Grass, Classic Colors Classic Colorworks Prairie Grass that I'm actually using in today's start. But I was just kind of amazed at how, if you want to get a real good feel for what Confederate Gray, the colors in Confederate Gray, get yourself some Prairie Grass. This is almost an exact match for all the different colors that are in Confederate Gray. I thought that was fun. So anyways, and I am doing that, like I said, this is 36 count. I am doing that one strand over 2 threads. They're pretty. I'm so excited about that. So yes, that is that. So poor Spring Jack. Yeah, I'll get to him when I get to him, right? So today's stitch is Welcome Spring. And as I mentioned yesterday, I am doing this over 1. This is a 28 count even weave. So this should be fun. These are the colors, the threads that came in it. It is Classic Colorworks Sugar Plum, Shabby Sheep, and Prairie Grass, like I mentioned. Prairie Grass. So this is going to be a pretty little stitch. Get back there. Goodness gracious. Okay, so, boy, I should have a prettier backdrop here because this fabric isn't going to cover up everything. We'll put Sally Spencer there. How about that? Sally, just keep us company. Or Confederate Gray, keep us company. Because you don't want to just be looking at my keyboard, although, of course, hopefully you'll be looking at my stitching. Let's see, what's going on today? Well, Donna Ray. Oh my goodness, we had such a good time. Have you ever met somebody who you just feel like you've hit it off the moment you meet? You know, you kind of get a feel for a person when you're doing these videos. I think we all get a pretty good feel of the different personalities, and hopefully we're all being true to who we are. I think we are. Donna Ray is in person is exactly as she is on the videos. Just a sweet spirit, funny, real, just yeah, somebody I could be good friends with. And that's what it felt like. There was no awkwardness, there was no weirdness meeting first time in person. Just a spirit of, yeah, we get each other. At least that's how I felt. I certainly hope she felt that way too. Maybe it's just me. You never know. So we only spent about an hour at the stitching post. She bought a couple things. She bought I think it's a Halloween and Edgar Allan Poe piece that she had never seen before. And I'm sure she will be showing that in when she does another video. And we, you know, we chatted and we talked about, and, you know, what we like, what we don't like, what she was there in Baltimore for, just life, you know. We wandered around the store. I spent some time at the fabric table buying the Confederate Gray, well, going through all the different 36 counts fabrics they had in the store, before I discovered the Confederate Gray and went, oh yeah, that's the one. As soon as I saw it. So, she had to skedaddle down into Baltimore, and I had to get back home before traffic got too bad, because that is always a consideration when you're traveling anywhere in the greater Baltimore, D.C. area. So not as much time, but she's definitely somebody that I could just sit with and talk to for hours and never run out of things to say. So that was just really cool. And someday, hopefully, we will get that chance. You never know what life's going to bring you, which is part of the fun of life. Having a kind of a hard time doing my normal sewing method with this fabric, so especially doing this on camera. So for now, I think I'm just going to do stabbing. I'm going to stab it. What else is going on? Oh goodness, having an interesting conversation with my son down in Orlando. Talk about the lack of communication that text sometimes brings. I asked him what he's in a program, I think I've mentioned this before, at the Dave School. It's a year long. His year will be finishing up in August, and I'm looking to get an exact date for his graduation. Just got the newsletter from the Stitching Post, and Erica Michaels will be there August 18th to teach a class that I'd like to take on finishing strawberries. But I had to find out the date of, if Ben knows the date of his graduation. So, and besides, we need to start making plans for that, getting airline tickets bought and all that. So I text him and asked him the question, and he says, yeah, I'll get the exact date when I get back to class. When I'm back in class. And I said, what do you mean when you're back in class? Where are you now? And he said, going home for break. And I read that as like, a multi-day break from school. And now he's already had spring break. So I said, home where? I said, what is this break of which you speak? I said, you've already had your spring break. And he's like, Mother, home as in my apartment and break as in lunch break. Oh my God. Sorry for reading too much into things. So, yeah. Anyways, Erica Michaels coming to the Stitching Post in August. There's going to be a trunk show. Oops, I missed 2 stitches over there. We're just going to jump down here and grab these. So yeah, she'll have a trunk show, and I guess she does, I'm not real familiar with Erica Michaels' designs. I have a general idea of the type of things she does. But apparently she does do a lot of strawberries, littles and smalls, and linens and silk gauze pieces and that kind of thing. So it'll be neat to see her trunk show, and then a finishing class on strawberries. So Lord knows I need all the help with finishing that I can get. So I want to get the dates for Ben's graduation to make sure there's no conflict there. And then I will sign up for that class. Other than that, things are pretty quiet. Of course, why wouldn't they be? I am at home most of the time. Like I said, this is more of a social week than I'm used to. So let me go back to my little stitching tag. All right. So I started this tag that's called Stitching Style, and yesterday the first few questions were like, where do I like to stitch? What do I like, a frame or hoop better? And when do I like to stitch? Which, we already discuss is, all the time, all day, every day, as I said yesterday. So the next question, do you use printed paper copy of your chart or digital? So this is something I have very strong feelings about. I like digital as much as possible. As I've mentioned before, I don't want a lot of stuff. And digital, of course, allows me to not have a bunch of papers and charts laying around. Now, I will use charts. or paper, of course, if that's what I have. That's how the chart comes. But I certainly prefer digital. I use an app called Knit Companion, and of course I started using that with my knitting patterns. I get pretty much all of my knitting patterns from Ravelry, so they're all digital. And I know a lot of people print them out. I have taught multiple classes on how to use Knit Companion, and I'm a big proponent of using it. There's so many tools in Knit Companion that help you keep track of patterns. So, and one of which is using charts in your knitting charts, usually lace, sometimes Fair Isle, and how it makes it so much easier to use a chart to keep track of where you are, to count your stitches. So I decided to see if I could use it for my cross-stitch charts, and I can. I really like that I can zoom, with the pinch of the fingers like you do, zoom in and out on a chart, move around on it easily, keep track of where I am if I need to in any way. It's a great tool. And it is something that I've mentioned before. I'm going to do some videos on how to use it for both knitting and stitching. I won't do those until June though, because doing these videos every day for this is just, and then I don't want to do another one. So that's what I'm going to do. But that's why I prefer digital. In fact, the birds of a feather chart, I'm probably going to take a picture of it and load it up into Knit Companion, convert it into a PDF and load it into Knit Companion, because I tell you what, the symbols on that sucker are so small that, all yesterday evening, I just wanted to zoom, try and make it bigger, because, oh my goodness. Yeah. So that's one of the things I really like about digital. So yeah, I'm a digital girl as much as possible. Are you a floss licker? No. Used to be, but since I discovered how easy it is to just kind of shove your floss on through the needle the way I showed yesterday, the day before, one of these days, they're all running together, right? No, I don't need to lick my floss. Every once in a while, if I get a needle that is particularly like the edges of the eye aren't smooth or whatever, I might have to. But I tell you what, since I've switched to the Pat Carson needles, and the Pat Carson needles are pretty much all I use now. And I've gotten like Julie Gulf Coast Stitchers. Anytime I can buy more, I will, because I want to make sure I always have them. But anyway, since I've started using those needles, it's just so easy to thread them. So yeah, not a floss licker at all. Do you hoard or buy supplies as needed? What is this hoard? It's not hoarding, is it? It's collecting. All right, well, maybe that's the same thing. I definitely hoard. I definitely subscribe to the feeling of fear of missing out. In fact, pretty much the entire time I was wandering around the stitching post yesterday, I had to keep telling myself, Jan, this pattern just came out. It is going to be here for years. You have how many more? I don't know, we're on day 9, so I have 26 more patterns, well, I guess some of them are whips, but 26 more days of stitching a different thing every day to get through. Don't be stupid. Not to mention that my budget for May is pretty much totally blown. So, and we're only on day 9. Yeah. So, like I said, it was a very generous budget. Doesn't take me long to go through it. So yeah, I definitely hoard. What is your favorite floss? I think, well, Victorian motto is quickly becoming my favorite. I love that she provides, Nancy provides bigger skeins, you know, the 20-yard skein for such a great price. That in itself is a wonderful thing. Now, that could mean that it's a cheaper floss, but it isn't. Her colors are wonderful. She does a great job with colors. You know, whether it's more tone on tone or whether it's more highly variegated, everything is really well done. But I was thinking yesterday as I was stitching, on Sally Spencer. That's Midnight. Which is the one? I guess it wasn't, because I think all of those ones are gassed. I forget which one. Oh, I guess it was maybe Jack, because the cream on the Jack is actually the Sunday Hayride, if I'm remembering correctly. To me, it feels softer, and it actually feels a little plumper. And it's probably just my imagination, but I'm really, really liking the feel of it too. So I would say, before Victorian Motto came into my life, I would say Gentle Arts is my favorite. I love their range of colors. Quite frankly, I love the fact that they're color fast. Now, believe me, I understand that there really isn't such a thing as totally color fast in any of the hand dyeing world. I learned that from the indie dyers out there. They do their best to set the colors, but there's always, well, not always, but there is oftentimes some bleeding. And of course, since I block all of my knitwear, I'm very used to bleeding into the water. It's not as much of an issue usually with knitting as it is with stitching, since you have the fabric that things will bleed onto. But quite frankly, like Classic Colorworks does not say, they specifically say on their labels that they're not color fast. It does not take a whole lot of extra work to set the dye. So it kind of annoys me that they don't. Now, maybe they do, and they just put that not color fast on their label just as a warning to people. I don't know. I certainly don't want to diss them for no reason, when I really don't know. But I just appreciate that Gentle Arts does do their best to make it color fast, as far as I know. I'm speaking as an ignoramus here, so you can feel free to ignore me. But anyways, I do like Gentle Arts color palette, and but like I said, I think Victorian Motto is my new favorite. All right, I am at 23 minutes now. I have the first little leafy section done. So I think I'm going to leave that there, and I will show you tomorrow's. Tomorrow we are back to Whipville, and we are to, tomorrow I'm going to be working on this beauty. Again, I cannot even tell you, put into words how much I love this. I just can't. I want to crawl into this scene and live there. Is that gorgeous? Everything about this. I love that I'm doing it over one. Yes, little tiny stitches. Little tiny. This is 36 count fabric. I just love it. Words cannot express how much. So, this is part 5. I have been working on this every morning for about an hour because I don't want to get too far behind on this. Part 6 actually comes out tomorrow, so I am obviously behind. It does not take me too long. It takes me about a week to finish each part, so it won't take me real long to get caught up once Mania is over. But I'm happy I scheduled this for tomorrow so that I can spend all day hopefully getting most of part 5 done when 6 comes out. So, Harbor Haven by the Bay Needle Arts. Just scrumptious. Alright guys, that is all for today. Stitch your hearts out, people, and have fun doing it. I will see you tomorrow.